Lawmakers in the U.S. House of Representatives passed a bill to start repealing the Affordable Care Act, President Barack Obama's signature health care plan. 227 lawmakers voted in favor of the measure, while 198 opposed it. U.S. senators approved the bill on Thursday. It instructs committees of the House and Senate to draft legislation repealing Obamacare by a target date of January 27th. Scrapping the law is a top priority of a Republican-led Congress, as well as President-elect Donald Trump, who will take office next week. It's estimated that dismantling the health care insurance program will affect some 20 million Americans. And joining us at Irvine for more on the stories, Mr. Alexander Azadgan, a senior geopolitical analyst and professor of strategic global management and international political economy. Hello, sir. Thanks for joining us on the program, Mr. Azadgan. Sir, I mean, isn't progress completely stymied when you have this kind of polarization, bipartisan-wise, in Washington?
Well, yes and no. Mr. Trump promised that one of his first acts in office would be to repeal Obamacare. So progress will be stalled, but you have to understand that the Republicans have the majority in the House and in the Senate. And this Obamacare, even when it was being passed back in the day, back in 2010, was very controversial in the sense that the right came out and said this is actually unconstitutional to have to force people to buy private private health insurance. And as of now, up to now, if you didn't buy this Obamacare, you would pay a penalty when you're filing your taxes. If you did, you would be okay. But as of this year, you would pay a heftier fine if you have not bought Obamacare. So the argument on the right is that it's constitutional. The Supreme Court came in a few years ago, and I think it was in a decision of 5-4, which, as you said, demonstrates how divided this country is, and made this a law in all 50 states.
And do you expect under a Donald Trump presidency we'll be seeing more of bipartisan feuding and wrangling in Capitol Hill?
Absolutely. I think this is going to continue, and I think Joe Biden a few weeks ago, when President Obama came to Europe to assure the Europeans, warned Mr. Trump that if he's going to continue with some of these programs, some of these changes, that he better know his limitations. He said something like that. You have to understand that Obamacare really goes back to when at that time First Lady Hillary Clinton was very adamant in passing it. Also, the Democrats haven't really had anything to offer since Lyndon Baines Johnson in the mid-60s when it comes to social programs. So this is their flagship, and the irony is that they don't have any other ship. So if they repeal this, it will be a big defeat, not just to President Obama, but all Democrats. You have to also consider that if the House passes to actually repeal this, it has to be also repealed by 60 senators in the Senate. Anything less than 60 votes is not going to do it. So that's going to really cut it short. So we'll have to see what happens. A lot of those states, for example, 9 of those states that were Trump states are heavily reliant on Obamacare, and they're headed mostly by Republican senators. So we'll have to see how it's going to affect them, because those Republicans may want to caucus with the Democrats when it comes to this issue.
And, you know, I'm sure you're very well aware Democrats have slammed Republicans as saying that they don't even have an alternative, that they want to repeal the Affordable Care Act. Your views on that?
That's very correct. Not only that, when President Obama was very adamant in passing this law, he realized that there's a structural problem, a systematic problem when it comes to employment. And in the old days, before Obamacare, either you had to buy private insurance very expensively, or you would be out of luck. So in a way, because healthcare used to be one of the number cause for bankruptcy in this country, they wanted to, in my opinion, avoid a major situation where people who would be structurally unemployed for years, and especially with kids, you know, you can stay on your parents' health care until you're 26. Behind the scene, these were all indications, economic indications, that the job situation was dismal, was going to be dismal for many years, and somehow you would be able to have health insurance even though you may not have a job.
Thank you much, Mr. Azadgan. Obamacare on the rocks. We'll see how this plays out in the near future. That was Mr. Alexander Azargan, professor, senior geopolitical analyst, and professor of strategic global management and international political economy, joining us out of Irvine.